10 o'clock with Ron and Syleste, and Fox 10 Talks gets underway. Syleste, this headline. The officer who was kidnapped and the guy that's driving the getaway car won't follow orders and stop and let him out. So he takes aim at the guy's leg.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
It really
situation.
is unbelievable.
Yep.
Good morning to everyone in the chat this morning, by the way, and on television and YouTube and on our Fox local app. It's good to see you here at 10
A lot
a.m.
of ways we can be watched
I
nowadays.
know.
Do you ever feel like you're being watched?
Many times.
Good. That's a good thing, right? Okay, we're going to get into that story coming up this morning, but also today on Fox 10 Talks, how much trouble can you actually get in for talking behind somebody's back?
Oh.
This is a story. It's a husband and a wife, or maybe an ex, that kind of a thing. But wow, man, it went all the way to the state Supreme Court. We have great highlights from the King's morning at the White House. Wow. And how to improve your relationship with your boss. We got a TikToker, Syleste, with like tens of thousands of followers who helps kind of coach people through a bad boss situation.
Oh, wow. That is invaluable advice.
Well, it's
and that's kind of
foreign territory for you and me because we have great bosses.
We do have great bosses, but I will say, you're not going to get life advice like that anywhere else but right here on Fox 10 Talks.
That's exactly right, Syleste Rodriguez. Okay, here's our poll question. Should Jimmy Kimmel be fired for saying the First Lady looked like a, quote, expectant widow? 68% of you are saying, yeah, get him off the air. He's crossed the line again. 24% say no. He said it was about age difference, and I believe him. 8% are saying it was a bad joke. He should apologize, but go no further. Grab that QR code.
Oh, my goodness. We have a ton of numbers on YouTube, too. Do you want to take a quick glance at that? Or
sure,
Syleste. Just a quick glance. 1 hour, 1.4 thousand votes. People are very opinionated, strong opinions on this one, and pretty close. Yes, get him off the air. He crossed the line. Again, 43%. No, he said it was about age difference. I believe him, 47%. And that was up just in the last hour or so. So feel free to vote. The link to vote on the YouTube poll is at the top of the chat.
Yeah, and last week we had a couple of poll questions that were more than 10,000 votes.
Yeah, unbelievable.
So some of these really do connect with you guys, so we definitely love getting your input. So, Syleste, we're going to play this clip. The setup is that this officer ends up in this vehicle. Basically, then the driver won't let him out. And so it's a kidnapping.
Yes.
And the guy had every chance to immediately stop the vehicle and let the officer out. He didn't do it. It's very intense. I'll just tell you right up front. I mean, it's like a scene out of a movie.
Yeah.
But this is how it all went down, and then we'll tell you a little bit more about it.
Stop! I'll shoot! I will put one in you! Just get out the car, please! Stop! I warn you, I will shoot your leg! I want to get out. Stop! Stop the car! Stop the car! Stop the...
Oh, wow.
Wow.
That is really unbelievable. You see the heat of the moment. This is very rare for us to get this type of video.
Well, this is why it's a good thing. And by the way, look, the guy was out there causing all kinds of damage, ramming into this building in Antioch, accused of burglary. And then part of the crime spree was the kidnapping of the officer. And he warned him over and over and over again that you better stop the car or I'll shoot you in the leg. Amazingly, the abducted officer, the whole situation came to an end. The guy opened the door with a bum leg and was caught. He tried to run away. But they caught up to him because he has a bad leg now.
Well, so. I mean, he's fortunate the officer didn't miss the aim and end up a little bit farther to the left, if you know what I mean.
Syleste.
I mean, that then he would have been rolling out of the vehicle at that point.
We try to run a PG show, but every once in a while, Syleste takes it right into the PG-13.
Well, I got to tell you, somebody saying a carjacking me, that's where I'm going first.
Okay. Hey, Josh Kolsrud, one of the great attorneys here in the Valley, joins us this morning. Josh, we have so many things to talk about regarding these national stories, but anything you want to weigh in on the story we just shared?
When I was watching that, I was thinking about the theme song for Cops.
Oh.
You know, like, what you gonna do, what you gonna do. It seems like something straight out of that old series that we used to watch. But, you know, the defendant in that case is lucky to be alive. Police officers are trained that whenever you pull the trigger on a firearm, you're shooting to kill. You're not shooting to injure. And this police officer, you know, did the right thing, I think, in the circumstance by shooting him in the leg. But that's not necessarily something they're trained to do. But certainly was the right decision in this case.
Okay, let's jump right into all these other topics here, Josh. I mean, the whole country for the last 3 days now has been talking about this shooting, Syleste, that happened at the White House Correspondents Dinner. As you now follow the case, what are your kind of original thoughts? As, you know, first there were a few charges. Now it looks like there are way more serious charges coming. But, you know, I mean, the guy was caught.
Yeah.
Luckily, you're right. And the location of the attempted assassination certainly has historical significance because that was the same hotel that President Ronald Reagan was almost assassinated at almost 40 years ago. Yep. So in the case right now, they have just 3 charges. But that's because the U.S. Attorney's Office needed to put some charges on the books in order to get him arraigned by Monday. When you arrest somebody in federal court, generally you have 48 hours to charge them and have them see a judge. If not, you have to release them. But I do definitely expect additional charges to come, including, you know, one of the Secret Service officers was shot in the chest and survived. Obviously, he was wearing a bulletproof vest that worked, and I'm sure that there's going to be a charge surrounding that. Also, you know, everybody in the ballroom is potentially a victim.
That was going to be my next question because, I mean, he didn't make it in. He was in the lobby, but technically, could that have been, that's a lot of other charges that he could potentially face.
Yeah, so in his manifesto, certainly you have potential targets. I mean, he basically names the entire cabinet, except for Kash Patel. It's weird how Kash Patel was precluded from his memorandum.
What was that all about?
I don't know. It's hard to get in the mind of somebody who is in that state of mind, so to speak. Right. But, you know, those are all potential charges as well, because everybody that was on his list was also at that gathering. And it's unusual that you have, you know, the president and the vice president together at the same time for security purposes. And you did see in the video that the Secret Service took J.D. Vance one way and then President Trump the other way. And that's to keep them separate, just in case there's a secondary device and you don't want them both to get injured or killed in the same action.
Sure. Okay. Well, we'll follow that one for sure. But let's jump right into the next one, which is now been directly linked. The president is saying, look, this is a perfect reason why we need a ballroom at the White House. There's not a facility close to the White House. I got to get in the limo and go to a hotel in D.C. And then, you know, apparently there are all these security measures that are going to go into the basement beneath. So, Josh, who is this group that is suing to stop it, and why are they doing it?
It's a conservation group, and they're suing the White House because the basis for their objection is that it's not aesthetically pleasing. So when you walk by, they think that it's ugly, so to speak. That's the foundation for the entire lawsuit. Now, it does bring up some interesting principles, though. So Congress has the sole authority to build on federal land, you know, any kind of buildings, stuff like that. The president was delegated the authority by Congress, though, to do renovations, specifically for improving security. So the Trump Trump administration is saying that that's what this is now, that this is no longer just a building, it's a renovation to give a secure audience that would be a ballroom for people to go to safely. The Justice Department has asked that this conservation group voluntarily dismiss their lawsuit, which they came out yesterday and said they're not going to do. So, this is still going to be litigated. And the district court judge who is on the case is a George Bush appointee, and he used certainly some colorful language in denying the White House's motion to dismiss the case. He did something I've never seen before in a judicial opinion, that he used an exclamation point, saying that President Trump is a steward of the White House and not the owner of it, exclamation point. And that's not something I've ever seen in a judicial opinion before. That type of
maybe
grammatical use.
Yeah,
sure. Getting emotional.
Dramatic punctuation.
Sure.
What's the difference between this? I mean, obviously I know the White House, but also the renovations taking place was the Federal Reserve building. Is that right?
Yeah.
So Jerome Powell, I mean, they billions of dollars, I believe, went into renovating the Federal Reserve building. What's the difference between that, or could the defense potentially use that in their argument?
So what the conservation group is saying is that the demolition of the entire East Wing is not the same as just renovating or changing the wallpaper, so to speak. So they're saying this goes well beyond what Congress delegated to the executive branch. Now, again, the Trump administration is saying that it's not just we're not redoing the entire building. It is for security purposes that we have to do this, that it is a renovation of the White House. It's something that should have been there, this ballroom. It's been talked about for decades, and that they didn't need to go through all this regulation in order to do it.
And it's mostly like the First Lady's offices, I believe, right? And some other offices. The West Wing is where you have like the Oval Office and a lot of the other things that may be a little bit more historical.
Exactly. And it was something that the East Wing was added, I believe, in the last 50 or 60 years, I think right before or after World War II. So it doesn't have the historic significance as the West Wing and certainly the front part of the White House does. And, who doesn't want to see a ballroom?
Yeah. Can you imagine a ballroom built by the Trumps, Melania?
Yeah, well, there you go.
I mean, during Christmas.
Some nice touches.
Yeah, wow.
Okay, so coming up next with Josh, we're going to talk about this story that everybody in the Valley, I think, is talking about. State Supreme Court weighed in on how much trouble can you get in when you're talking behind somebody's back.
Yeah, this is actually pretty serious. You got to watch out for this.
Okay, so Josh is going to tell us all about that. Here is a preview for you of the Mystery Cam coming up in another 15 minutes. We'll be right back. Fox 10 Talks continues. It's Ron, Syleste, and Josh Kolsrud. And, Josh, this whole story that came in, actually, if you don't mind, I want to ask you about one more. We're going to get to the state Supreme Court in just a moment. But this whole case that is aimed at I would call it a popular product for many years called Roundup, a big weed killer. To me, this sounds like, there are many allegations that it causes cancer. I know you've been watching it closely, and so you got a lot of people. They took the glyphosate out, I believe, about 5 years ago. What about this case? I mean, it's unusual somewhat that such a well-known and often used product is now in the hands of the U.S. Supreme Court.
Yeah, this is a huge case. Now, Monsanto, the company that produces Roundup, has paid roughly around $11 billion so far in lawsuits regarding the non-Hodgkin's lymphoma claims. Now, the issue here is that the EPA, that's the federal agency that gives opinions about what's safe and not safe to use, has labeled Roundup as not causing cancer. But you have a Missouri jury in a state court that says that it did cause cancer for this specific individual. And the case has gone to the Supreme Court because Monsanto and Bayer, the company that makes aspirin, they're saying that Missouri does not have the authority to do this patchwork type of lawsuit when you have the EPA saying the exact opposite of what this jury said. So they're saying basically that the state lawsuits are unconstitutional because only the federal EPA and federal agencies have the authority to determine what's safe and not safe,
so
not states.
So it's not about the safety of the product. It's more about a state versus the feds?
Exactly. So if the Supreme Court rules in favor of the Missouri litigants, it'll open the floodgates. So there's over 100,000 lawsuits pending. Wow. That if this case is ruled in favor of the plaintiffs, are going to go forward. That means that people can individually sue Monsanto in their state, not federally, but through their state, and possibly get a large jury verdict.
Ooh, okay. Well, let's get on to the state Supreme Court ruling. Syleste, we've been talking about this one all day, haven't we?
This is pretty wild. So there was apparently talking behind someone's back in Arizona can actually count now as harassment in our state. This is a big development, right?
It is. The so-called gossip laws, right? Where, at what point does gossiping become criminal? And what the Arizona Supreme Court said is that, the First Amendment does protect speech, but not all speech. It doesn't protect harassment. It doesn't protect defamation and threats and violence and things along that line. And so what they're saying here is that ordinarily, in order to count as harassment, you had to talk directly to a person. Let's say, I'm talking bad to you personally. I'm calling, I'm texting you.
To my face,
repeatedly.
On the phone.
Yeah, text messages.
Like that.
But now they're saying
Which
that...
I would never believe, Josh. You're a kind-hearted soul.
That's right.
Good point, Syleste.
Now they're saying that if you talk to people like friends or colleagues or bosses...
Like if you were talking to Ron about me.
About you.
Yeah.
And it was...
And Ron tells me everything,
That's right.
so you know.
Okay.
It all goes back to it, Josh.
I'll have to stop talking. No, and it has to be repeated, and the intent has to be to harm you. That I am talking to Ron in order to hurt your reputation. And usually the statements have to be false as well in order to not be protected by the First Amendment.
So what happened in this case?
Well, in this case, you had it was a family law situation.
Yeah,
divorce.
It was a separated couple who had a child together. Father was apparently talking negatively about the mother to people at their 10-year-old daughter's school. The mother worked at the school, filed for protection order based on the comments that her, I guess, estranged husband was making. And and claiming that he was trying to get her in trouble on the job.
Exactly.
And so that brings up a really interesting point. I mean, it involves the workplace, it involves family, it involves
and custody.
And custody.
Yeah.
I feel like people gossip at work
Oh my gosh.
all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, they do, and it
Ron,
doesn't target.
would you like to share? This is a safe
Let
space.
me pass along some of what I've heard about you.
Watch it. I'll be marching to the Arizona Supreme Court.
So the law doesn't criminalize ordinary human conversations, so in this case, it has to be repeated behavior, and the intent really does have to be that of harassing, the same kind of conduct that you would do if you were talking to them directly in order to harm their reputation or otherwise.
Yeah.
So hopefully the law will. We're all gonna have to watch and see how it's enacted. Like if police and the courts start having a broad view of this, there's going to be some First Amendment issues.
Yeah, and what's interesting too, and I think, and maybe this has something to do with it as well, is that it also affects then the ability, like how do people think about her on the job, and then possibly her ability to make a wage.
Yeah.
Because if it's happening at her workplace and they're not true, and then they're hurting her reputation,
Exactly.
and then as a result, maybe her boss thinks negatively about her. Then she's out of a job potentially.
But if she wasn't fired and she didn't get a reduction in pay, where are the damages?
Well, it could be to her reputation,
like
emotional.
almost like libel.
It is, yeah, slander, defamation. So kind of think about it that way, where it affects her reputation in the community. And she may not have been fired, but she may be passed up for a promotion or a bonus, and it affects her relationships negatively. Maybe she has to go to therapy now because of how she's, the whole Scarlet Letter situation.
This is why Josh is a brilliant legal mind.
Well,
he
and
thinks through it all.
And what's really interesting too is that, Ron, like in a lot of corporations, you have to go through harassment training. It'll be interesting if in Arizona, if that's going to be included in that as
Compliance,
well.
absolutely.
Compliance,
Yep.
absolutely.
Josh, thanks for coming in.
Hey, thank you guys. Always a lot of fun.
Yeah, we always learn
Thank
a
you for
lot,
not talking
that's
about
for
me
sure.
behind my back. I appreciate it.
In the meantime, we rolled tape on what was really, I thought, a really special morning at the White House because the king was in town. Check this out now.
And you're going over to Congress and you're going to make a speech that's going to make everybody very envious of that beautiful accent of yours. Very elegant. He's a very elegant man. Here in the shadows of monuments to George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, honoring the British King might seem an ironic beginning to our celebration of 250 years of American independence. But in fact, no tribute could be more appropriate. Long before Americans had a nation or a constitution, we first had a culture, a character, and a creed. Before we ever proclaimed our independence, Americans carried within us the rarest of gifts, moral courage, and it came from a small but mighty kingdom from across the sea. For nearly 2 centuries before the Revolution, this land was settled and forged by men, women who bore in their souls the blood and noble spirit of the British. Here on a wild and untamed continent, they set loose the ancient English love of liberty and the Great Britain's distinctive sense of glory, destiny, and pride. And that's what it is: glory, destiny, and pride.
Go marching along.
Yeah, Celeste. I don't know how you get an invitation to something like this, but how cool, right? And I mean, genuine friendship both between President Trump and originally with the Queen,
Yes.
and now with the King, but he told this story about how much his mom loved Queen Elizabeth.
Yes.
And he remembers as a little kid, anytime she was on TV, she'd be like, "Donald, come over here. You got to watch this. There's the Queen. She's so beautiful." And then he finds out, he remembers that his mother had a crush on young Prince Charles.
Oh, my
He
goodness.
said, so here we are all today. Not trying to make it awkward.
I love this.
Cool.
So you have Queen Camilla, and then you have First Lady Melania Trump, both
Right.
in like a white suit, jacket, and a skirt. I mean, they both look amazing as well.
Yeah.
You know, what a great image this is, I think.
Later this morning in our 11 o'clock hour, that hat that Melania's wearing
Yes.
reminds me of the whole talking hat incident from when the Queen was here in the U.S. And they didn't really check the angles very well. You remember this?
I don't know if I remember this.
And so the podium was so tall that she barely basically the microphone was right here and the podium's right here. She's wearing this big old hat, and all you see is a talking hat for the Queen. We have the pictures.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk to a guy who remembers being there and helping set the whole thing up.
Oh, so great.
Of the day
That's
of the
cool.
talking hat.
That's cool.
The other thing is the Daily Mail did a story this morning, and somebody showed it to the press, and it said that he is a distant cousin of King Charles.
Wow.
He's like, good, maybe I can actually live at Buckingham Palace someday.
Yeah, they might have like an extra little cottage on the property.
I bet they do.
On the compound.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, well, anyway, 12 noon. We're going to be covering it all here on multiple platforms.
Yes.
That's for sure. The King, first time ever a British monarch has spoken to a joint session of Congress. Pretty cool.
All right, this is the mystery camera, so throw your guesses in the chat. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Well, Celeste, we have a unique situation going on now where we have everybody guessing the same town.
The same town.
The same state.
Wow.
It's hard to go against that.
I know. Maybe they all went to the same barbecue place. Maybe that place with the red roof in the middle is like a popular location.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I wonder about all this. I'm looking
There's a church.
because I have been to the town that people are guessing, which is Topeka, Kansas. It's the state capital. You would think you could at least see the Capitol building.
Oh, we've got a Sioux City, Iowa from All Quality Labor, Inc.
Okay, and a Missouri from Brandon.
Yeah, Brandon and Miguel.
You know, the other thing that's interesting, one of the famous Supreme Court rulings called Brown versus Board of Education happened at an elementary school right there in Topeka. And you can go and learn all about that history, too. So anyway, to me, it doesn't really look like Topeka, at least the way I remember it, Celeste. So I think I'm going to go with Brandon.
Okay, and I'm going to go with All Quality, and I'll say Sioux City, Iowa.
Okay.
Okay.
Now let's see if everybody else is right and we're wrong.
Here is your answer.
Yeah.
Decatur, Illinois. Yeah.
What about that?
How about them apples? Here we go.
I just didn't think it really looked like Topeka.
No, but I do love, it looks like Lou is saying Merry Christmas, everyone.
Okay.
So, I think every day you can celebrate, apparently.
Okay. I'm looking at him like it's Lucas?
I was thinking Lou.
Yeah.
Maybe Lucas Patosoy.
Remember the day that they went from people just using their names to their handles? And how confused we were?
It was very confusing.
Yeah.
Because initially when Ron and I went, when we went onto YouTube, we were able to see your names, and then all of a sudden, one day, no warning whatsoever.
I liked it
they
better.
Just changed.
The other way.
I know. Whatever. We're not in charge.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, so a couple of big stories that we just keep following this morning is all of those ships stranded out there in the Strait of Hormuz. 20,000 crew members, Celeste, on hundreds of ships just are not able to pass through the waterway. Now, I did see the president. This is very interesting. He posted on Truth Social, maybe about 2 hours ago. It was like right after the ceremony with King Charles, which we know he loves spending time on social, so I'm not surprised after it was over he went to look to see. And he did post on his Truth Social that Iran had called today and says they really do want to negotiate some kind of a deal because their economy is really hurting.
Yeah.
I mean, all the income they use for sending, getting that oil out of the ground, putting it at Karg Island and getting it out of there, that's all come to a complete halt. So we'll see whether something happens.
It's amazing. We just showed the Strait of Hormuz moments ago, and like all the ships that, flow in and out of that area. It's amazing that so much depends on this 21-mile of waterway.
Yeah, it's a really good point, right?
It's just really mind-blowing. And it kind of brings you back and you go, oh, wow, like relationships, well, whether or not they're political or within a marriage or on the workplace, they matter.
Yep.
Relationships matter.
Right. So we'll see. In the end, is this going to be a situation where, Iraq just selected a new prime minister yesterday, and he's a business guy.
Yeah.
And so, you've got the UAE on the opposite side of the water, and they're like, we want to live our lives. We're going to build a new Disneyland.
Yeah.
Just like quit firing missiles.
And then the Middle East, I think, or was it Abu Dhabi? They're going to build a new sphere. Like the one they have in Vegas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the UAE, once the oil gets flowing again, they're loaded with billions, that's for sure. All right, so on to the whole Jimmy Kimmel story. If you haven't heard about it yet, here's a little bit more for you.
Kind of rhetoric about the president, the first lady, and his supporters is completely deranged, and it's unbelievable that the American people are consuming it night after night after night.
Okay, so there she was yesterday in her news conference, Caroline Leavitt at the White House, talking about what Jimmy Kimmel had said, referring to the First Lady in a kind of it was a skit But he referred to as a, quote, expectant widow. In the current environment where a number of people have tried to assassinate the president, it just, I don't know. I mean, we talked about it yesterday with TMZ.
Yeah.
And I remember exactly what Eric was saying, which is, well, the first time I was maybe willing to give him the benefit of the doubt, but this time it's just like, what are you thinking?
And I think he said it before. Some of the reports were before the actual White House Correspondents Dinner.
Correct, like 2 days before.
Yeah, 2 days before. So. He tried to issue an apology and said that it was a joke, and he was, trying to reference the age gap between the First Lady and the President, but I don't think people are buying it.
Well, 26% is all that are. Good point, Syleste. Yeah, that's the middle option. 70% say, yeah, it's time. Get him off the air. He's crossed the line again. 26% are saying he said it was about age difference. I believe him. 4% are saying it was a bad joke. He really should apologize, but that is all.
All right, let's take a look at the numbers on YouTube. 1.9 thousand votes in the last hour. Get him off the air, 42%. No, he said it was about age difference. I believe him, 47%. And it was a really bad joke. He should apologize, but that's all. That's 11%. So numbers are really, really close. And my goodness,
Big D,
we got 196 comments.
Wow.
Yeah, tons of comments here on fox10phoenix.com/poll, as well as on YouTube. Big B 3921 says Republicans are such hypocrites. I just can't take them seriously. Trump was literally celebrating the deaths of Rob Reiner and Robert Mueller in just the last couple of months, and Republicans did not care. Mark Schultz says it's called the First Amendment, people, the right to free speech. Jill Wiegand says not funny, and Skid Moda says this rhetoric from the left needs to get toned down. It wasn't even a joke. It was just vile. Really interesting comments. Keep them coming, guys.
Okay. Thank you, Big D. Big D talking about the comments from Big B.
Big D and Big B.
And Big B. Like that. All right. So we've been looking forward to this next interview because George Stern, if you haven't met him yet, here he is, everybody, joining us right now.
What's
He's
up,
big
George?
on social.
Yes. On TikTok.
Hi, George.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. How did you carve out this specialty niche? And tell us what you do that has achieved so many followers.
Yeah, by accident is the short answer to your question. So I've been an employee, I've been a CEO, I've coached the Fortune 500 leaders, and started recognizing a lot of patterns. Right, there's things that make a leader great, there's things that make a leader terrible, there's things that make a workplace culture phenomenal, there's things that make it toxic. So I started posting some of those, and it took off more than I ever expected on LinkedIn first, and then I started getting all these messages from people saying, that sounds a lot like my boss. What would you do? They just said this, or they've put me in this situation. How would you handle that? And started sharing some of these stories on TikTok, thinking, these are anomalies, but they're entertaining. Let's share them. And where I was wrong was that they're not at all anomalies. I've been getting hundreds of direct messages from people saying, that's like my boss. I can't believe someone else is going through that too. We just see so many people put in tough situations at work, and so they're really resonating with folks on TikTok and other platforms.
So give us a couple if you can. Like, what is one of these situations that many people find themselves in, and what's your advice to them?
Yeah, so we see them fall into a lot of different buckets, right? There's the micromanagers. We've all experienced that. There's the people who don't set boundaries very well, the people who are unprofessional. So that boundaries one, right? We get stories in of people who are asked to come back 4 weeks early from their paternity leave to get back to work, or to end their vacation early to come back to handle an account, or someone expected to respond at midnight within a few minutes, and frankly, more than one story, unfortunately, of bosses, I guess, not quite understanding biology and asking women to delay their maternity leave to be in the office getting things done longer. All of those just, so tough and unfortunately common from what I'm seeing in the messages I receive, the comments on the videos. So to advice, right? The first is the most controversial thing I say, apparently, and it shouldn't be, but it is when you've got a boss treating you terribly, and it's have some grace. And this is on both sides. I say this to managers and to employees, but oftentimes no one wants to be a terrible boss, right? They don't want to be toxic. Usually they've been promoted into a role that they weren't qualified for, and they're figuring it out. And that's not an excuse for the way in which they're acting, but it's a good place to start from for both sides to, just recognize that there's a need for some grace here. And then if we're talking boundaries, right, what I encourage folks to do is figure out what your non-negotiables are. Is it that 5 to 7 p.m. family dinner every night? Is it no weekend work because you want to be with your kids or pursuing your hobbies? And really decide what is important to you, even when things get especially busy. And then number 3 is communicate that. And most of these situations we're seeing are just bad communication on the boss's front and occasionally on the employee's front. And so you want to very directly say to them, and not defensively, just calmly, hey, I love this job. I'm here when I'm in it, but look, 5 to 7 p.m. for me is family dinner. I'm going to be offline every night. Simple, straightforward, don't need to be defensive about it, just setting that boundary for yourself and sticking to it.
We're up against a break. Let me try to squeeze it in. We only have a minute here till break time, but what if your boss is a little on the volatile side and you're afraid that if you speak up to defend yourself, that it could result in you being fired?
Yeah, a lot of people have that concern. And so, first of all, you can't just give in to the volatility, right? You can be raising it if you've got another supervisor on your side or HR on your side, but continue setting that boundary, because ultimately, if that person is going to continue to treat you toxically and be volatile, you want to be thinking about your next move. Careers are too short to spend too much time with someone who's treating you poorly, who's bringing you down, who's stifling your growth. You want to get into a role where you've got a manager who can support you.
So, George, can you hang with us till after the break? We're going to take a quick break, and we want to chat with you about a little bit more some of these situations, because I think it's very helpful. It's been very insightful.
Yeah, we're getting some pretty good feedback. If you guys have questions for George on dealing with difficult bosses, now's the time to do it. We'll be right back. What a beautiful view of the inner harbor at Victoria, British Columbia.
That
By the way,
is
that's
so
where Renee and I
pretty.
honeymooned.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, if walls could talk. Welcome back, everyone. We do have George Stern on standby here. George, I want to read this comment in talking about kind of relationships between employees and bosses. You mentioned the idea of delaying maternity leave. RLS Vid says, delay maternity leave. People like that exist. OMG. As a mom of 3 kids, I have to say, I would not have been able to come back had somebody wheeled me in for the first at least a week or 2. I mean, it's hard to even move. It's crazy that some of these things exist. Let me ask you this question. How bad does it have to get when you say, or have people responded or asked you this question? When is it time to move on?
Yeah, it's a really important question, right? And it's always easier to tell someone to move on than reality. We depend on our jobs for income to pay those bills. If you've got families depending on you, it's easier advice to give to just say, well, leave than the reality of it. Sometimes you want to make sure you've got that new job lined up. But if you have communicated clearly, you've tried to find an advocate other than your boss to support you, and you're still not getting anywhere. That boss is making you feel bad every day. They're impacting your physical and mental health with the things they're doing to you. They're ruining your life in some cases by the demands they're putting on you. Those are all signals that you should be planning that exit. And that doesn't mean quit, on a whim. And sometimes that might feel the best if you go out in a blaze of glory, but it's not the wisest decision. Always recommend lining up that next role, that next position. But if you feel like you have tried everything and you're just getting nowhere and nothing's improving, that's when I'm advising folks to start looking for a plan B.
How can people find you, George?
These are on TikTok right now. I'm George Stern Leadership on TikTok. Please send in your stories. Keep sharing. Keep commenting. It is unfortunate that these bosses exist, but we want to keep calling them out so that they're coming out of the shadows and people are hopefully getting better managers for themselves.
It's almost like Dear Abby, but for the workplace.
Right?
You submit your question, your concern, and George helps you out.
Thank you, George.
Thank you. Have a great day.
All right. Look at this. Celeste Isabella joined.
Hey, Belle. It's good to see you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I just want to respond to Albert, who said, Ron, I've enjoyed seeing you in Phoenix for decades. Just wondering what brought you to the Valley. This place is closest to...
HE double hockey sticks.
Because of the weather. Much love, brother. Dave, now what are you laughing about back over there?
I think it is like heaven here. Come on. If it's hot, you just go in the pool, you go in the AC, we got it all covered.
Yeah, life in the 80s in April and May is pretty sweet. But I get what he's saying. We have those. We had a day, was it last summer or the summer before, you guys, where we went on the air at 4:30. And it was 100 degrees.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
We never cooled off below 100.
Yes.
Anyway, I get what he's saying. So we moved here. The story was that I graduated UW.
Yeah.
And then started working in Spokane. Mm-hmm. And we had a Toyota... I think it was like a station wagon. Yeah. Back in the 70s, I think they had a station wagon. And we just loaded it up with a bunch of videotapes. We drove all over the West.
Okay.
Denver, Sacramento... L.A.,
Fresno.
San Diego. We skipped Fresno. And
too
to
bad.
this day, I say I could be doing Good Morning Fresno. But Phoenix was where we really hit it off.
Oh.
Bill Close, for those of you who've lived here forever, you remember the old anchor man, the standard of the business who wore a bowler tie. Anyway, we hit it off great.
But did the heat bother you, or did you, when you got here, where you're like, coming from Washington State, you're like, I can handle this?
No, in fact, it was August when we drove into town, and that car did not have air conditioning.
Okay.
And we still loved it because I'm like, this is such a cool, different environment than the Northwest, which I loved also. But, I mean, it just seems so, like, exotic and filled with palm trees and mountains you could hike right in the middle of your city. And, yeah, it was awesome.
That's so cool. My husband moved here from Seattle, which I know you're from Seattle too, Belle. So you guys are from Washington State. My husband is from and Dave's from Washington State. So my husband moves here. He gets recruited to play at ASU from Seattle in February. They fly him out, do the interview in February, and then he drives out in July, not knowing knowing that about the heat with no AC, similar to you, Ron, and he's with his best buddy, and he's like, dude, are you sure you want to do this? He's like, dude, I'm here to play football and get an education, so let's just do it. I think for a lot of people, and then he left for a little bit but came back. But the Valley, like Dave mentioned, it's a beautiful place.
It
you know,
really is.
you mentioned the hiking spots. Yeah, we
It's a different kind of beauty.
Yeah, there's the desert beauty.
Everything you could do here. It's really quite amazing.
And now great restaurants. Like people are coming here in droves. You have all these Super Bowls. It really is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bella, how was it for you your first summer here? What do you remember?
Well, I toured ASU in May.
Okay.
And it was like 95 degrees.
Yeah.
But it was raining in Seattle, so I loved it. Yeah. And then I moved into my college dorm in the middle of August. Everything melted. My gummy vitamins melted. Everything melted. But I'm so happy. I'm still here. So love it.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk just a little bit about this movie, you guys, because it already made $100 million. Oh, wait. Oh, hold on. MJ movie. Do you see a VO7 labeled MJ movie? Here we go. It is getting so much buzz. Okay, so I'm sitting at church on Sunday, and this friend of mine, I'm sitting next to him, and he's 84 years old. He leans over to me and says, I went to that Michael Jackson movie last night. It was fantastic.
Oh, okay.
Yes, right? So, you know, I'm like, wow, Jack. I mean, you're 84 and you go to an MJ movie. He's like, people were dancing at the movie theater. A lot of reviews are really, really good. But the thing about it is that's so interesting is now people are streaming his music like a whole new generation is suddenly falling in love with it. So about 100 million so far. And his music has already received 32 million streams in the last week since the movie came out.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
I believe that. I was walking out to my car yesterday from work, and the security guard was saying he saw the movie, he loved it. And as he's saying how good of a movie it was, a car drove by, and the guy in there was probably in his mid-20s, and he was blasting a Michael Jackson song with the windows down.
Okay.
So it's interesting. We had our movie reviewer, Zach Pope. He's been on here on Fox 10 Talks before. And he was saying that they almost set it up like there's going to be a sequel. Yeah. Because they didn't cover his entire lifespan. They only covered it up to a certain point.
Up to like 1988
something like that.
It was like a tease.
Yeah. And so it covered the first part. But one of the best things about it, too, is I think his nephew is playing him. So there's a family connection.
Yeah.
And maybe that almost brings it home a little more. It makes it mean something more.
Personal.
So how about for you guys for your streaming lately? What are you listening to?
What am I listening to?
Bella,
Let me open my Spotify.
I don't know. I listen to so many different random things.
I do too. I listen to all kinds of different music.
We are not allowed to play music because we're online. If we were just on TV, we could, but we're online, so we can't do that. Charlie Puth has a song. Let me just
I like
think
Charlie
of it here,
Puth.
called "Love in Exile," and it's with Michael McDonald of the Doobie Brothers and Kenny Loggins, who was amazing,
so good.
a generation ago. And the three of them on this song called Love in Exile, you got to check it out. It's incredible. And the story goes that they all met up at Charlie's house.
Yes.
And Charlie was kind of banging away on the piano, and Kenny Loggins says to Charlie, he's like, why don't you let Mike sit down at the piano here for a minute, see if he can maybe come up with a little tune for you.
Oh, that's cool.
Wait till you hear it. It's so good. It's really, really good.
That's so good. Mostly oldies. I've let my kids listen to their music in the car.
Yeah.
And so Kalina has an oldies mix, and Hall & Oates' Rich Girl, that's at the top of the list.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Straight out of like 76.
I know. She listens to a lot of the oldies.
Yeah.
And she has this one called Divorced Dad Rock. That's the name of the mix on Spotify.
That's the good name. That's creative.
Hey, Bella, before we let you go, we're going to talk just a little bit about this new trend.
Yeah.
It's called the micro adventure. And the idea is that when you're done with work, you go do something cool, something fun.
Yeah.
Rather than like building something, a whole weekend out of it, or even like a 4-day vacation or whatever. Just go do something fun after work. What are we looking at?
Well, I think Abby and I are really good at this trend. We find a lot of things to do after work. On the right, that's just a photo of our stats. We went on a walk, and we always discover fun things around our neighborhood. And then on the left is our latest very fun micro adventure. We decided day of to go to the Bruno Mars concert.
Oh, that's
It
awesome.
was so fun. It was a Wednesday. It was a work night. Abby was at work the next morning at 6:30. I was at work the next morning at 8:30.
Way to
and
go, ladies.
we made it work. It was a very fun little day of micro
you guys
adventure.
look so cute.
Thank you. It was a good time.
Yeah.
It was very fun.
Fantastic.
It is
Let's
so
see what,
great.
Let's see what Celeste micro adventure is.
Is a hike.
Oh, look at this woman ruling the valley.
The queen of the valley.
Yes.
Oh my gosh,
Looking
you
down on her
guys.
subjects.
That is so not true.
It is I, you 5 million people. I am here to rule over you.
Oh my god. It does quite look like that, doesn't it? I was looking at the sunset actually.
Like beautiful golden
It
hour.
is Piestewa. It's at the very top of Piestewa. And
Wow.
that I think is easier than Camelback.
I think so too.
This one I think I can get up in an hour, down in an hour, and the Camelback's going to take almost double that.
I
Yeah.
feel like when you go on Saturday, it's like a highway. It's like a freeway.
Oh, yeah.
Was it not so? Is this like a random Tuesday
It is.
afternoon?
This is during the week.
Was it not so busy?
It was not so busy because people were working and probably stuck in traffic. But because we get off in the afternoon, I just went home and I changed. And right when I made my way out there, right when the sun started to set, maybe an hour before.
Okay.
That's when I headed out there. But this is at the top of Piestewa. But one of my favorites is the circumference of Piestewa, which is called the Freedom Trail.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
I tried to find a picture of, there was one day after work, because I live in the East Valley, I went up on Silly Mountain. People don't, but this was a different time when everybody was in town with Alexa and Jordan and Michelle, my 3 kids. But when you're on the Silly Mountain hike, you get some of the best views of the Superstition Mountains. It's so spectacular.
Yeah.
Highly recommended, and they don't charge anything.
Yeah.
No
it's
entry free? Nice.
Here's the thing. I mean, Todd Helseth says it's too hot to hike here. I think people who hike here have a death wish. We appreciate your thoughts, Todd. We leave you with this beautiful shot. Thank you for watching, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right, good Tuesday. Oh, Dave is zooming us in. Thanks, Dave.
A little closer, Dave. A little bit.
Right here. There we go. Are you finishing your text message?
I am.
To wait? All right, we can wait. Well, good morning, everybody. We're going to keep things rolling now at 11 o'clock here on Fox 10 Talks. And we have another jam-packed show. We say it every single day, and I'm going to continue to say it.
And we have some really great guests. We have a variety of different topics to talk about. Mm-hmm. We want to talk about this really popular show. It's called Love on the Spectrum.
It is one of my favorite shows. It is on Netflix, and if you have not seen it, what are you doing? We're going to play you a little clip to just kind of introduce our next guest, and then we're going to introduce her live coming up next.
So I heard that you're getting ready to go on a date.
Oh, yes, I am, Jennifer. Yes, I am, Jennifer.
Okay. Have you ever been on a date before?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
But I need help. I need to work on what kind of conversations to talk about a girl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Coming up with something to talk about, that's something that stresses a lot of people out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. That was Logan. He's one of my favorite characters on this newest season of Love on the Spectrum.
Well, for people who haven't seen the show, what is it about?
Well, let's have Jennifer actually introduce her. Jennifer.
Hi.
And Jennifer, good morning.
Hi, how are you both?
We are doing great. Thanks for joining us.
Big fans.
Absolutely,
we are.
My pleasure.
We're huge fans, Jennifer. And maybe Anita just asked it, but for folks that haven't seen Love on the Spectrum, just walk us through what this TV show is all about.
What the heck this thing is about, this juggernaut that has gone and has kind of taken the world by storm in a wonderful way. So Love on the Spectrum is not your average dating show where people are, insulting each other and they're undermining each other. This is a show about vulnerability and respect. And I think that's what is making people feel so connected to it. So basically it's following the journeys of mostly 20-something adults who are on the autism spectrum, different places and needs within that spectrum, and as they go on their usually first or beginning dating journeys. So I'm the relationship coach on the show, and I get to help and work with them to coach a little bit and get through sort of those unspoken rules of communication and connection, and help them to feel more confident and competent, so that when they go out there, they have a good shot of building the kind of relationships that they want to.
So when you mentioned this is a different type of relationship dating reality show. When you Google Love on the Spectrum, takes you to that little section that says people also ask, and one of the questions are, how staged is Love on the Spectrum? Because you look at some of those reality shows, I'm not going to name any names, and they don't look very real. This seems so authentic.
It is so authentic, even to the point, I promise there is zero staging. Even to the point of, like, when I go into film with one of the participants, the only thing that I know is their name. I don't know, what they're coming to the table with. I don't know what their needs might be. I know what their interests are, nothing. I know nothing except for their first name. So, that's for me. And then there was a particularly poignant scene this season where we were all at an engagement party for two of the participants. And it had been raining, and then all of a sudden there was a double rainbow, and next thing you know, literally the whole party breaks out in singing. The first thing that we were singing was the Rainbow Connection, and then Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and the Somewhere Over the Rainbow made it into the show. And I can tell you this was 100% in the best, cheesiest, most delightful way, completely authentic. Promise.
I love it. Jennifer, walk us through how you became part of this show, and you have a really interesting kind of backstory.
Yeah, so, well, thank you. So I was diagnosed as being on the spectrum in 2011 and wrote my first book the next year. I've written 10 since, including some Wall Street Journal bestsellers, and they've done really well. They're in 8 different languages. I think that is how originally they sort of discovered me, right? So Love on the Spectrum began as an Australian show and was very popular there. They're very proud of their Love on the Spectrum down in Australia. Florida, 2 seasons there. And when they were getting ready to come to the States, Netflix reached out and contacted me. We did a little, what I didn't even realize was an interview. I thought they were just sort of asking me some insider information about, about autism as they were getting ready to come here. But next thing you know, I'm on a plane going to a test filming in Nashville, and here we go. And that was 5 years ago now, and it's crazy. We are currently filming season 5. Season 4 only just came out, and we've had the best ratings this year than we have ever before. We were number 1 on Netflix for several weeks, and that hasn't happened. We were always in the top 5, but still top 1. That was crazy. So yeah, it's been a very interesting and exciting journey.
Share a little bit about your story then, and how it came that you realized that you were on the spectrum, and how that helps you when you're sitting down with these 7 adults on the spectrum, again, various degrees, coaching them, because there has to be something to that. You understand them in a way that other people may not.
I think that's exactly it, Anita. So I think that, so like I said, 2011, so I was 35, which gives away my age now, but, and that was subsequent to my 3 kids being diagnosed. So at the time, it was, the diagnosis was actually Asperger's syndrome, which is now all under the umbrella of autism. But, basically looking at me and sort of hearing my bio, it doesn't come to mind. The first word that comes to mind is not autism. I realize that. I attended 2 Ivy League schools. I was the social chair in my sorority and a college cheerleader. This is not, I realize, make the stereotypical resume of an autistic woman. But that only is because I think we don't often understand how the many ways that autism can present, especially in girls and women. I wrote a memoir about that called Autism and Heals, about that story in specific, because it really is an underspoken, underserved population. So when I get to then work with the folks that are on the spectrum on the show, really what I'm doing is sort of a 4-part method, but it all starts off with trying to make, I call it pouring the concrete, which is taking these social truths and running them into something that is tangible and experiential. In season 1, I was talking with Abby about the reciprocity in conversation. So I started rolling back and forth a ping pong ball. And we went from her just peppering me, almost to the point of being like an interview, to suddenly we're having a dialogue and a conversation. When you saw me kind of doing a little scale thing with Logan, I actually use a scale when I'm working with individuals. Sometimes we put marbles on each side of the scale to show how much effort we're putting into a relationship and trying to keep that balanced. So it's really about that. And then the most important part, though, is once you've given those tools, giving the opportunity to say, you get to choose this. Mm-hmm. If you don't want to choose this, you don't have to, because you don't have to be fixed. Yeah. These are just some tools that you have. They're now in your arsenal, right? And if you want to use them, great. If you don't want to use them, here's what might happen. But now you're in charge. And I think that's as important as what else I'm teaching.
Mm-hmm. Jennifer, I have a nephew that's on the spectrum, and I love this show for so many reasons, because I think it breaks down those stigmas of what a person with autism is all about. Mm-hmm. What do you think this show is teaching people, and why do you think it's resonating with viewers so much?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and hi to your nephew. I think that this show really, so one of the things I tell my kids and I tell the folks that I work with is that I think oftentimes we hear the word bravery and we think of somebody who's, stoic and not afraid and going in, storming in. That's not what bravery is. Being brave means feeling afraid and doing it anyway. And these participants are brave more times in one day than your average person is maybe in 2 years. They're giving themselves over to real experiences in front of a international crowd. Where their lives are being exposed in the most vulnerable ways. And the fact that they are doing so in the ways that they're doing and really being honest and having moments that, and having their hearts broken sometimes, or having moments that don't go as smoothly as they'd like, and they're just doing it with such purity of heart. Mm-hmm. I think that's what really catches on. And I don't mean that in a demeaning, minimalizing way when I say purity, right? These are real people. One of the things that has been discussed on the show is the desire for intimacy as well. And disabled people also want to have intimate lives, right? So all of those things combined, I think, just make it where folks are cheering for these folks as opposed to, wanting to cut somebody down.
Yeah. 100%.
I think it also shows that everyone wants the companionship, not just like intimacy, but everyone wants a mate. Everyone wants to be loved. Everyone wants to be appreciated. Everyone wants to get flowers on an anniversary. People want that in life, no matter where you are on the spectrum, not on the spectrum.
The human spectrum, right?
The human spectrum,
it is.
yeah.
And it's just a human, I guess, need. Is that the word?
Yes.
To have that, to crave that. And it's so neat to see just love it.
I'm so glad.
It really gives you chills. We love working with people on the spectrum, and anytime that we can highlight organizations here that are local that help people is amazing. But when you see people find that love, that companionship, it's really incredible.
It really, really is. And you're hitting the nail on the head, right? So there are human needs that are universal truths. And we all want to feel not alone. We want to feel seen, right? There's a difference between choosing to have some alone time and wanting to be and being lonely. And I think there are a lot of really lonely people out there who want desperately to connect. They just don't know how.
Yeah.
And once you learn a couple basic skills and can make things easier, then gosh, life's a lot better.
Yeah, you want to share your life with someone. That's what it's all about. It's what it's all about.
We all do.
And I love that you said you're already starting to film season 5, so I've got something to look forward to. I'm halfway through season 4.
Okay.
So
I've already spoiled something by telling you about the rainbows.
It's okay. You know what?
Party. Sorry.
You know what? People get so excited that they posted already on Instagram all of the clips. So I've kind of already seen the spoilers, but I love the show anyway that I'm going to watch through anyway. So it's been
good.
I guess I just want to say thank you. And if folks want to get more information about your books, how can they find those, Jennifer?
Sure. So probably the easiest way, honestly, is to find me on Instagram, which is Jennifer Cook _author. So Jennifer Cook author. And there's a link to my website. There's a link to get in touch if they want to. So the easiest way is probably through Instagram.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you.
It was a pleasure talking to you.
I'm sure you gained some new viewers and fans.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you.
You bet. Have a good one.
Okay,
we're going to take a 2-minute break, and then we have advice coming up from 2 different types of experts.
Yes.
Stay close.
Doctor and your car doctor.
Yeah. Welcome back in. Want to take a 3-shot right off the top?
Yeah, let's
Just
go
get
for it.
right
Here we
to
go.
it. Masvo Auto Care Center. Welcome in.
Thank you for having me.
We've got Shahe.
Yes.
And we're talking about what you've got to do to get your car ready for the summer, because
it's coming.
It's coming. We're going to hit the upper 90s this week.
And if anyone at home has questions, we're going to split this segment. So we do have another guest coming. Medical doctor, if you want to ask questions on that as well.
Yeah, so ultimately, your car is your responsibility. So the first key...
Or my husband's.
Or your husband's, either one. Or your kids, if you have.
Oh, there you go.
It is about understanding the fundamentals of the basics. So paying attention to the gauges, right? So if you're driving and you have the AC on, don't just think about texting or who you're talking to or your Spotify. Look at the gauges. If that temperature gauge is above half, something is not right. Understand that if something smells weird, what's that all about? It's overheating. The old school senses are, if it smells like pancake syrup, it's overheating.
Oh, wow.
If it smells like burning rubber, it's your brakes. If it smells like burnt carpet, it's your oil. So these are the little things that kind of like, okay, you're not a mechanic, but you can pull over and actually stop and open the hood and understand. Read your owner's manual. Yeah. Please read your owner's manual.
Or you could just Google it, though.
You could Google it. You could chat GPT. You could do whatever you want.
It's pretty easy to find that.
Yeah, but to say, woe is me on the side of the road, I didn't know, or I'm not a mechanic, that's not a good excuse.
What are some of the, I guess, biggest tips that people overlook and then they get into trouble because of that one little thing?
The first thing is the battery. The battery is crucial. In Arizona, Texas, Nevada, the extreme hot climates, 2 years is about all you're really going to get. So, and we did this on another segment where if you look, there's a sticker on the battery. Look at it. It'll give you the month and the year that it is. If it's 2 or more years, find that receipt. Go get your battery checked, especially if you're going to go to California.
Because it might be okay. You might not have to replace it.
Absolutely, but it's nice to know where you bought it from so you know the warranty. Tires is another one. 5 years or older, anything dry rotted is not good. 72% of, God forbid, fatalities in an accident is due to a blown tire. Really?
Let's talk about the tires then. How do you check those?
The check the tires is there's a 4-digit code on the tire on the outside. It's grouped together. You can't miss it. The first 2 numbers are the week of that year. The second 2 numbers are the year. So 11/22, 11th week of 2022. And knowing that 5 years is the cutoff, you want to make sure that, okay, it's 2026 and wow, I've got a 7-year-old tire. I got to get this checked. Or just to make sure, because if it does have a blowout, what does your spare look like? Have you checked your spare lately? Do you have a spare? All those little things.
I went and looked at my trunk. I don't have a spare in my new car.
You don't, but oh.
No, because the new cars, and that's a great point, new cars have run flats. The tire itself is the actual spare tire when it goes flat.
Really?
But
I
it's
read my owner's manual.
But it's $700 a tire.
Oh.
So you're like, hey, I need a new tire. You're like, oh my goodness, $700.
I like the old ones better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Windshield wipers are a huge one because when they're sitting, the car sitting in that heat, they bake.
They bake and then they dry rot, and plus it doesn't rain here that much, so it's sitting there dormant, and then you go to use it. The worst thing you could do is to use it to dust your windshield.
Yeah.
Don't do that. So here's a great little hack. Grab some Vaseline and grab a baby wipe. Lift up the wiper, wipe it down, and grab the Vaseline and rub the rubber. As long as the rubber is pliable, you won't have to change that wiper blade.
Are you going to get Vaseline all over your windshield?
No,
though?
just on the dab of the rubber to get it pliable.
Just checking, because I would probably
That's a good
put
question.
it like all over
You don't
the
want to
place.
smear it like it's peanut butter.
Right on the windshield, Anita.
Oh, my mechanic said I should do this.
My mechanic said it's okay. Sorry,
Let's talk
officer.
about fluids, especially like windshield wiper. What else do you put in your car? Oil. Can you tell I've had an electric car for a long time? I don't have to do the oil anymore.
Yeah, oil is crucial. Of course, there's always a sticker that from the oil change place, whether it's a fast place or a mechanic shop, it tells you the month and the mileage is supposed to be. So follow that. Most people say, "Oh, I don't drive the mileage," but you're there. It's dormant. Like leave a pot of milk on the stove. Eventually, it'll become cottage cheese. It's not good. It needs to cycle. Oil is the same way. So get it changed. Pull the dipstick, learn how to check the oil yourself. It's got a dummy light, but when the dummy light comes on, it means it's too late.
It's past.
It's past.
Okay.
Do you need a mechanic? I mean, do you really need that one reliable source, or can you take it back to the dealership? Can you take it to one of those quick places and say, hey, check it over for me?
Relationship in anything is crucial, right? So I'll give you the doctor version. You hop from 5 doctors all within a year. Like, everyone starts fresh. Like, I don't know you, I need to get to know you. Can't figure it out in one visit. But when you have one trusted doctor, one trusted mechanic, they know you, your budget, who you are. Okay, look, I'm going to save. That opened an honest dialogue to say, look, you know what? You need brakes, but not now. Why don't we hold off? Next oil change, save some money. Let's do the brakes. Versus showing up someplace new and you're hit with $1,000 worth of surprises, and it's not good.
What is the hardest car to maintain right now, and what's maybe the easiest car to maintain?
The hardest car is anything European. Anything. VW, Volvo, Jaguar, Mercedes, BMW. They're very costly. They require specialty tools. They require special training. The easiest, anything Toyota.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, there's a good shout
we
out
have
to
a quick
Toyota.
question for you before we say goodbye. Does transmission fluid get changed by heat? So will the hot weather affect your transmission fluid?
It will, but more so mileage. So the standard in any car, especially in hot climate states, is 30,000. Every 30,000, change the transmission fluid.
Okay.
My husband just changed mine.
There you go.
Yeah, he tried to save us some money.
Look at
Changed
him.
the oil, the brakes.
You
and
said tried. He did it.
He did. He
There
did
you
a
go.
great
There you go.
job.
He succeeded.
Yeah, give him some credit.
You're right. I give him a lot of credit.
And real quick, how do folks find you?
Yes, I'm at Mosville Car Care at 4610 North 7th Street, 100 feet south of Highland. And I wrote a book called Car Confidential. You can find it on Amazon or carconfidential.net.
And
Awesome.
we have to give a shout out. You said you've been in the Valley 31
Congrats
years.
to you.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Yes.
That is huge.
Come back soon.
Will do.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
All right, we're switching gears here, you guys. We're going to do a hot walk.
Hot walk,
So we're going to
sir.
switch.
You have to shake
watch
it in
this.
front
Watch
of the
this.
camera. We haven't
One guest out and one
Maybe a
guest
one
in.
shot.
Yeah.
Did not know I was going to be on camera.
We didn't see your face in the hot walk, so it's like, surprise.
Here I am.
Welcome
Here I am. Thanks so much for having me back. It's good to see you all. Thanks.
Congratulations.
Congrats. I had my baby, and now I'm back.
You had your baby, and you look fantastic.
Oh, well, thank you. Still
You had a
working on
little
it.
boy.
I had a little boy. Yes, Nicholas.
Cute.
How old is he now?
He's 6 months. Just turned 6 months. And isn't that crazy?
We haven't had you out in 6 months, Natasha?
Well, before that, because she
Wow,
didn't come in
that's
like her
right.
9th month.
All right.
Ty found this really interesting trend on TikTok that he wants to talk about.
Okay, so this is kind of weird. And so I was like, I need to ask a doctor's opinion.
Yes.
So there's this whole trend on TikTok where people are taking Pepsid AC or some sort of antacid, and then they're mixing it, or I guess taking it in conjunction with a allergy medication. And they're saying that it gives them the effects of like Xanax or a mood booster or something like that. So I said, let's get an expert, and that's why we have
Let's
Dr.
get some
Natasha
samples.
Bouillon
Let's talk
here.
about it.
He really wanted samples. Well, I feel, I'm just kidding. I feel like I can't take allergy medicine. It knocks me out.
Yeah. No, okay, this is fascinating. I've seen this trend all over social media. So people are taking basically Pepsid and Allegra, not just for depression. They're taking it for anxiety. They're taking it for mood. They're taking it for PMDD. So
PMDD?
a more severe form of PMS, so premenstrual dysphoric disorder. People are using it for all kinds of reasons. Okay, the bottom line is there are no strong clinical studies that show Pepsid and Allegra can benefit depression or PMDD. So it's not the standard of care. But there is a theoretical benefit. Kind of interesting. Both of those medications are antihistamines. Now, Pepsid, it's an antihistamine that acts on your stomach, whereas Allegra is an antihistamine that kind of acts on your sinuses. Both are antihistamines. The theory is when you have depression or PMDD or other conditions, it's because of our mast cells. So partially, we have these mast cells, part of our immune system. When we have inflammation, our mast cells release histamines and cytokines. And so the thought is if you take an antihistamine, any kind of inflammation that you have will help those conditions. But there's really no research studies to benefit it. There's only one, and I think this is where it all started. Back after COVID, there was one study for people that had long COVID. There's 30 people. Half of them, they gave them Pepsid and Allegra. The other half, they didn't take anything. They found the people that took Pepsid and Allegra after long COVID, they did have an improvement in their fatigue and their brain fog. And the mechanism might be the same. It might be that there are these mast cells releasing histamines, but we just need way more research studies on this before we can recommend it as standard of care.
This initial research that they did, the initial testing, do we know like why they would say Pepsid and Allegra? I mean, like there's so many medications and over the counter. Like, how would we even choose
why those two. Yeah, when you think about allergy meds, there's obviously Allegra, there's Zyrtec, there's all kinds of allergy meds, Claritin. We find that Allegra is the most non-sedating, whereas Zyrtec is the most sedating allergy medication. And so they used Allegra for that reason. And then Pepcid just used it out of the blue. It acts on your stomach. I mean, all that being said, though, I am hearing this from my patients. I'm seeing it on social media. People think that those medications are safe because they're over the counter. And generally, you know, they are safe, but all medications have side effects, all of them.
Especially like if you're doing this for long term,
a long time, yeah. So short-term and long-term side effects. So short-term, people get dehydration, they can have constipation, dizziness, headaches from these meds. But long-term, we don't want people taking Pepcid long-term because it can actually affect your stomach and your ability to absorb nutrients. And so people sometimes will have nutritional deficiencies. And so I tell people, you know, before you try any of these things, talk to a doctor because we want to treat things with the right medications. And, you know, in medicine, we don't treat based on anecdotes or theories. We treat based on strong evidence.
And you also,
go ahead.
Well, you want to treat not the symptoms.
Exactly.
You want to find the cause. You want to treat the cause.
Exactly. Well, here's the other thing on social media. I actually think some of these people might have a syndrome called MCAS. Have you guys heard of MCAS?
No.
So MCAS, it's mast cell activation syndrome. And so essentially, it's kind of an umbrella term. It's a condition that's very hard to diagnose, but people do have this where their mast cells are a little bit too sensitive to external stimuli. And so you think of your mast cells as kind of like an alarm. For people that have MCAS, that alarm is going off way too often. The symptoms are very variable. So people
hives,
have
abdominal pain.
And the reason why is we have mast cells in our stomach and our heart. So you could have palpitations, you could have you know, diarrhea, skin symptoms. Hard to diagnose, but I wonder if some of these people on social media actually have MCAS and they're almost treating the MCAS. They don't realize it and they're feeling better. But this is why I say talk to a doctor so they can figure out, do you have MCAS? Do you have something else? Let's get to the bottom of it so we treat it correctly, because this approach is kind of haphazard. You're kind of guessing and just taking a bunch of, you know, cocktail of medications.
And we've got a minute left, but this is probably a good example too of you need to talk to your doctor before you start taking pills and taking medical advice from randos on
Even
TikTok.
if it's stuff you get over the counter.
Right. And that's the thing is people think over-the-counter medications are safe. All medications have side effects. And so talk to your doctor about what might be really going on. And listen, I know a lot of people feel like they can't talk to their doctor because their doctor doesn't listen. So if you feel like you're hitting a dead end and your doctor's not listening to you, find a different one. If your doctor's like, no, MCAS is not real, or if they blow you off, find a doctor who's going to listen to you because, you know, these conditions are serious.
20 seconds left. How do people find you?
So I'm at One Medical. You can go to onemedical.com to find me or my colleagues.
Welcome back. We'll have you in soon.
Yeah, it was great to see you so much.
Yeah.
All right, that's going to do it for us on this Tuesday. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
And we are glad you're hanging out with us. Try it again. Hey, everybody. It's Ron and Des hanging out with you this morning, and we have got we got a beautiful day here in the Valley of the Sun. And then I get a text from one Dean Fazzini who says, look, if you're interested, this is Mount Juliet, Tennessee. That looks like a nice day on the water right there. Boy, that lake looks full, doesn't it? On Old Hickory Lake.
Do you fish?
You know,
like to fish out there?
No, I really am not.
No?
Yeah.
I've never been fishing either. But
Oh, really? No, I used to go. My brother, when my sis moved to Montana, the fishing up there is incredible.
Oh,
So we'd blow up a raft and we would float down the Clark Fork, which is up there around Missoula. And I mean, it was just like every time you put your pole in the water,
there's something biting?
they're just waiting to be picked up out of the lake or out of the river. Yeah, that was quite a while ago. I don't know, maybe I should take it back up again. There's some pretty good bass fishing in some of our lakes here in Arizona.
I could see myself liking to fish.
Really? Well, maybe take your kids.
Because now I think of how peaceful it probably is.
Yes, right?
And quiet.
Yes.
So.
Well, you know, there's a place up in the Pine Top Lakeside area where they stock it and you just go there specifically to fish. It's like a little commercial mom and pop operation.
Okay.
And I think they guarantee that you'll get a fish.
Oh, is that like cheating though?
No, because you're doing it to take your kids.
Oh, okay. Yes.
And
if you do want them to try to catch something.
You want them to, not sit there for 3 hours.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
patience level would be very
That's probably why I had no interest younger as a kid. What kid wants to sit still?
Right?
Mine don't.
Is there like a big lake around Lockport? Why
no, I mean, you could go to Lake Erie.
Oh, the big lake, yeah.
Lake Ontario.
Sure.
Yeah.
Why am I thinking of Lackawanna? What is Lackawanna?
Wow. How do you know Lackawanna?
Because I always thought it was kind of a fun name.
Oh.
I'm from Lackawanna.
Yeah.
Lackawanna beef from there.
Lackawanna, Cheektowaga.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is like you come from New York, I come from Washington, where we have like the Stillaguamish and the hump tulips.
Okay.
And all these funny names.
Tonawanda.
Tonawanda?
There's a lot of Wandas.
What is Lackawanna? Is it a town or a lake or a?
It's a city in Western New York.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think if I ever was
Lockport, where I'm from, or Buffalo, even. I mean, obviously Buffalo is like the biggest city, but Lackawanna, it's another like suburb.
If I was ever called upon to do Good Morning Buffalo, I would want to live in Lackawanna. Pretty sure about that.
Yeah, there's some nice parts of Lackawanna. You can live in Lackawanna.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Is it a long drive into the city?
No, not bad. Probably, jogging my 15 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Look at how I love how they're moving this camera around. All of this coming off of Old Hickory Lake in Tennessee. Every time I hear of Old Hickory, of course, that was the nickname for Andrew Jackson, one of our early presidents. So I wonder if that's around his place, the Hermitage outside of Nashville. Oh, did you ever go there when you lived in Nashville? It's like a historic park to go to the Hermitage. No.
I don't know if I've been to the park, but there's a city
the old
there,
house.
Hermitage,
Yeah.
So.
Oh, well, there you go. Okay, so plenty of stories to talk about this morning. And by the way, we're going to be hanging out with Gordon James a little later this morning talking about Queen Elizabeth and one of her famous visits here to the USA, because we are keeping track of what's going on. I'll just pop it up for you right now. What's going on Capitol Hill. It's a big day. The king has arrived, and he's going to start speaking right at noon, which I bet is actually going to run pretty much right on time. So we're going to keep an eye on that. But boy, this story, people I do believe are very interested in crimes being solved. And this cold case story, Des, out of California with an Arizona connection, is really kind of shocking. We go to Placer County, California. The sheriff's office says that they just arrested a guy named James Lawhead Jr. For the kidnapping and murder of this is a cold case that goes all the way back to the early 90s. Cindy Warner, 35 years old, went missing from her sister's home in November of 1991. Her little baby, her little 11-month-old, was left crying in the high chair, never to see her mom again. Well, so this woman, the missing woman, Cindy, was found about 3 weeks later, 40 miles away. And here's a little bit more about what they were saying about it all.
Of a mother, her 11-month-old baby left crying in a high chair.
Pathologists at the time feel like she was kept alive for some time after she went missing. Arguably, this is one of the most heinous, notorious cold cases we have here in Placer County. Under an assumed identity, Mr. Lawhead lived in the state of Washington, Oregon, and Arizona. Obviously, there is a lot of work to be done by our investigators to trace his movements over the last 20 years, also to see if he's been involved in any other crimes since then. Just because the passage of time doesn't mean justice diminishes in importance. This family has suffered in anguish for 35 years, and they deserve some accountability.
Yeah, they do. And so here is the photo that was released from the sheriff's office over there in California, Placer County, James Lawhead Jr. It's really quite incredible, Des, the way they pieced it all together.
I mean, that is chilling to think about that. Nearly 35 years almost coming up this year that he's been able to get away with that.
Yeah,
this long.
Right.
And then to be living right in Arizona under a different alias.
Yes.
Just chilling.
Yeah, well, it turns out that they worked with law enforcement in California, collaborating with law enforcement here in the Valley, and they used facial recognition comparisons, the latest technology, and they realized that this was their man. Really pretty something. It's really remarkable. Des, the governor's just started speaking. Big budget talk now. The Republicans have unveiled their budget. We don't know if she's had any talks with the legislative leadership, but she is speaking. Let's go there.
People who have paid for their crimes have a chance to become productive and contributing members of society. Every job secured is a life changed, a second chance given, and an opportunity to stay on the right track. It also means that taxpayer dollars can be spent on public safety, veterans and small businesses. It means communities are safer, and we are growing our workforce. Re-entry 2030 is truly a win-win. It's because of these results that we are doubling down on our efforts to help more Arizonans get to work and become contributing and productive members of society. Today, we are announcing that for no cost, Arizonans can access their records and determine if they are eligible to seal, set aside, or completely expunge their criminal record. Using RASA Legal's tool, any Arizonan with a criminal record can simply go online and determine eligibility. From there, the team at RASA will walk you through the process to help determine your best path forward. We strongly encourage Arizonans to take advantage of this opportunity to qualify for free legal services.
Okay, interesting developments there at the Capitol. I almost said the castle.
At the castle. It kind of looks like a castle.
But we're going to keep tabs on things. There's been some talk that there might be some budget talk. Maybe that'll be happening a little bit later, but we're streaming it on YouTube.
Yeah, Arizona Republicans are hoping to advance that $18 billion budget or $1 million budget. So we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, I think it's Bill. I think it's billion with a B.
Bill.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, yes. It's 800 million, I believe, of what?
Is what it was short?
Was hoping.
Oh, okay. Seems like a lot of money, doesn't it?
It does, but when you're talking billions, millions,
yeah, I know. But when it's down at the Capitol complex, the state Supreme Court, everybody seems to be talking about this. The case of harassment that ended going all the way to the Supreme Court. Can you get in big trouble for talking behind somebody's back?
a
co-worker,
yeah, this is crazy.
a husband, a wife, an ex, that kind of a thing.
Yeah, that was separated.
Listen to what Josh Kolsrud had to say.
The so-called gossip laws, right? Where, at what point does gossiping become criminal? And, what the Arizona Supreme Court said is that, the First Amendment does protect speech, but not all speech. It doesn't protect harassment. It doesn't protect defamation and threats and violence and things along that line. And so what they're saying here is that ordinarily, in order to count as harassment, you had to talk directly to a person. The intent has to be to harm you, that I am talking to Ron in order to hurt your reputation. And usually the statements have to be false as well in order to not be protected.
Okay, so that was his take. And by the way, this whole thing comes out of a case where it's a couple that's separated. They have a child together. The father was apparently speaking negatively about the mother to people at the school where their 10-year-old daughter goes. And the mom works at that school. And she said that her estranged husband was trying to get her in trouble, that he was saying things that weren't true and were harmful. And the judge ruled in the mom's favor, and then it went to a different court, and now it went to the highest court in the state, and they said, yeah, you're right. You got a case.
Seems like that would be a hard case to prosecute, because as you heard Josh say, you have to prove what the individual is saying isn't true.
Right.
It seems like, depending on what's said, that could be very hard to prove.
That's right. So. Yeah, and he also said, let's wait to see how this all settles, because if all of a sudden there are all kinds of lawsuits for people who feel they've been gossiped about in a negative way, are we going to see hundreds of suits?
Right.
Yeah,
on a daily basis. Or at work,
for sure. Yeah.
They could be opening up the floodgates.
Oh, hey, real quick before we go to break, I just thought this. Hold on.
We have a fun question in the chat too.
Yeah, what do you got?
From To Fly. Is it what? To Fly in Your Dreams?
Okay.
Oh, that's interesting. He's asking what kind of dog breed we would be. So maybe we think about that during the break.
Okay.
Go ahead and share what you wanted to.
Yeah, you guys can. And prevent it. I like bossing sheep around. It's going to be a sheepdog. We'll answer it after the break. And by the way, we got a mystery cam for you. Give us your guesses. Be right back. right, everybody. Ron, Des, and a mystery cam. And let's see if we're getting any guesses here. Let's just see here, Des. When I looked at that, you know, I'm a history nerd, so if I'm anywhere close to a state capital, I like to go see it. And a couple of different state capitals popped into my head. And one is with that tall, skinny dome. One is Illinois, Springfield. But then the other one is Lansing, Michigan. To me, it could be either one of those. Do you want to jump on either one? And then Outlaw Dynamo saying, maybe, well, you don't be too fast. Maybe it's Indiana. But the thing about Indiana is that Indianapolis is the capital,
right?
Which is a great big city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go B. Miguel, Iowa.
Okay. Now, I know it's not Iowa, Brandon.
Yeah, I know.
I want to talk you out of that one.
Go with Iowa.
Both you guys are going Iowa?
The Gold Dome is Iowa.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, there are 5 Golden Domes on the. I'll bring in a picture. It is the most beautiful state capital I've ever been to, but it's not this one because you have the top Golden Dome, and then you have 4 domes of more domes in Des Moines, in the capital city in Des Moines.
Beautiful. Oh, okay.
So can I talk you out of that, of Iowa? You too? All right, fine. Just do your guesses, whatever.
I really have no clue.
By the way, you're hearing the voice of Gordon James, who's going to be joining us in a minute. Anyway, I'm going to go with Michigan.
Michigan?
All right, here we go, everybody. On the Des cam.
Oh,
what do you got? Oh, Terre Haute.
Okay, I'm like, wait, Terre Haute. Indiana.
Well, it's not the capital
we were
then.
All wrong.
Okay, Outlaw Dynamo once again, buddy.
Gordon, I know. They stump me every single day.
That's the voice of Gordon James that you're hearing, our celebrity guesser.
Thank you.
Today, for sure. Gordon, you have some stories to share about one of the Queen's visits here to the U.S. What year was that?
1991. Okay. 35 years ago.
Yeah. And was that also her visit here to the Southwest, or was that on a different trip?
I think
that
one was a different one.
Yeah, but we do know that she came out here, and to the West. Steve Benson, may he rest in peace, did a Arizona Republic cartoon. It was so soggy, and I think she was in California. It was so soggy that he drew this cartoon of the Queen getting ready to get on the plane and fly home to London, and it was like pouring rain, and a fish was coming out of her umbrella. They're like, how did you enjoy your visit, ma'am? Not very well. But anyway, tell us about your experience with Queen Elizabeth.
So I had left the White House. I'd been there for 2 years, and I'd left, but they had me come back for this visit. And I was assigned to a housing development in Virginia across the river, and I was also assigned to the formal arrival on the South Lawn of the White House. Those were my 2 assignments.
Wow.
So,
what had you been doing at the White House that qualified you for that kind of work?
I have been with the Bush family since 1978, and I was an aide and an advance man for them, and I was with HW until the day he died.
Wow.
So,
Wow. Well, there are a lot of stories, Des, that we could ask about that, right?
You got more time? Like, wait a second.
Yeah, please come back on that.
But obviously, I mean, we're excited that the Queen is here. It's been a very long time, 2017, right? I believe since we've had, or 2007, since we've had a royal visit.
We've had really?
Yeah, so. Wow. What was that moment like back then? I mean, were you thinking, oh, this moment is going to be, take off across the world? This is happening.
Well, and not in the way it did, unfortunately. There we had to move the formal arrival down to the South Lawn, down by the fountain, because there had been some work on the Truman balcony and on the south side of the White House. There had been some work done, so we couldn't have it up there. So we moved the stage down there, and the president has a podium that's built for his height, and George H.W. Bush is 6'2", and the Queen she was about 5'3". And
didn't realize she was that tall.
Yeah, how about I didn't
She's
either.
a teeny thing, and President Bush was 6'2". So his podium, it's called a Blue Goose, and it's built exactly for his size.
Okay.
And there's a small tray, like a soapbox, that you can pull out for people of normal height to stand on, so you look like your normal height. Yeah. In normal circumstances, the president speaks last, so I would go up, I'd pull the tray out for the introducer. It'd be somebody introducing him, and then he would come up and he'd kick the tray back in, and he would give his remarks. Well, in this case, a state arrival, he welcomed the Queen to the White House. I'm 20 feet away. I'm just from here to there. And he welcomes the Queen, and she goes up to the podium and promptly disappears.
Let's show everybody what we're talking about. Ready? Here we go.
There she is.
This is why they call it the talking hat moment.
The talking hat. So I'm standing there, and I'm thinking, I should go up and tap the Queen on the knee and pull the tray out. But my feet are just frozen in the ground. I can't move. I'm paralyzed.
Right.
And
why? What paralyzed you?
it's the Queen of England, for goodness sake. And so it just went on and on. Mrs. Bush, Barbara Bush, was having a coronary, and she was just... So we ended, and off they go into the White House, and Ambassador Vernon Reed, who was the protocol director at the State Department, this was his orchestrate the whole visit. He took the hit. He apologized to the Bushes and apologized to the Queen, and even though it was clearly my fault. So
takes a big man to admit that.
I know.
Gordon.
And I'm thinking, it's over. The next day, the Queen was most gracious. She did what the King is doing right now.
Yeah.
She did her joint address to Congress, and she said, "I hope you can see more than my hat." And, so she
had a good sense of humor about it.
She had a good sense of humor,
right? By the way, you have a couple of pictures you brought, but can we just get your take on the genuine warmth today? You see the King there shaking the Vice President's hand, Secretary of State, Treasury Secretary. But that speech, I think, really did indicate the genuine friendship between the President and the King, and reminding people of the genuine friendship between our two countries.
Yes, and this morning, the President's remarks were only 12 minutes. Which is very unusual.
Right.
And he was very gracious, and I think they do have a good relationship. I have actually, in London at Buckingham Palace, I have been in the same room as the King. I did not meet him, but I've been in the same room.
Oh, wow. That's closer than most people will ever get.
How is his personality different from the Queen's?
I don't know him.
Yeah.
The Queen was most gracious, and actually, if I'd snuck up on the stage and tapped her on the knee, she probably would have thought that was okay.
I wanted to. Well, and what part of it paralyzed you? Was it like, oh my gosh, I cannot touch the Queen, or dare I not interrupt the Queen?
So our instructions were, you don't reach out to the Queen. The Queen will reach out to you.
Oh, you have another story regarding that, right?
Well, so my other site was the other site was across the river at a housing development for first-time homeowners, and a lady by the name of Alice Fraser had bought a home, and she was living there with her daughter and a couple of her grandkids. And I went over there a couple of days. We decided we wanted to take the Queen to the housing development. I don't know who made that decision, but it was really a great decision. So I went a couple of days ahead of time with the British security and our Secret Service, and I knocked on the door, and I said, "I'm Gordon James," and she put me in a bear hug that just dang near, I almost passed out. It was just, and I said, "Do you know why I'm here?" And she said, "Yes, you're going to bring the Queen over in a couple of days." And I went, "How'd you know that?" She said, "I just knew. You don't show up at my doorstep with a coat and tie and all these."
And with the Secret Service and the British
so
military.
I thought, she's going to hug the Queen.
Oh, here, show us your pictures. We've just got about 2 minutes left, so we want to.
She's going to.
There it is. Oh, here, let me. Right there. Turn it, tilt it just a little bit shiny. There you go. A little bit easier to see there. Fantastic.
Wow. So there's that moment.
Dave Valdez was the official White House photographer, and I said, Dave, she's going to hug the Queen. I'm positive. Yeah. So I snuck him inside first, and then when she opened the door, she gave him a hug, and then she invited the Queen invited the whole family to London. They had big time.
Oh, is that right?
She paid to have them all come.
Oh my!
They had a great relationship.
Really?
They had a nice time.
Bring that other picture up here. Like I said, we're a little bit short on time, but.
This is the other.
Oh, that's so great! Boy. Look at that. Is the talking hat?
Yeah.
Oh my. Yeah.
Wow, what a moment.
Amazing.
I can't believe it's been 35 years ago.
Yeah.
And you know, she worked until 2 days before she passed away. She was she was a
She was
strong
up
lady.
at Balmoral. She was there in her cardigan, and then it just happened. Her time was up.
So what do you think as you watch this royal visit unfold for us?
Oh, it's going great. And the arrival ceremony, the formal arrival ceremony on the South Lawn was terrific. And they got to watch it from the Truman balcony, which is very unusual.
Yes.
I've never seen that before, where the President, Mrs. Trump, and the King Charles and the Queen were on the Truman balcony watching the military nation's finest march through, and it was really spectacular. And they really rolled out the whole thing.
Yeah.
So much fun.
Yeah.
We know how to do it. We really know how to do it.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we have the live pictures coming in now. We're going to get everybody prepped for this unusual and historic day in the House of Representatives. The Speaker is there, and the Vice President, Mike Johnson, and J.D. Vance. Now, Gordon, it would be fantastic to have you come back sometime and just tell stories about George H.W. Bush. Next to Barbara, you probably knew him about as well as anybody else.
They saved my life. When I went to work for them, nobody wanted me. And for some reason, he took me under his wing, and the rest is history, as they say.
Yeah. Yeah. A bunch of stories. Okay.
Amazing.
Put that in your day timer. Come back and see Ron and Des.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah,
Thank
for
you
sure.
so much.
Thanks
Thanks for having
Gordon,
me.
for sure. By the way, you've written a book called 41 to 43.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is-
And that's one worth checking out for sure. Hold it up real quick there. Right there. 41 to 43.
It's not for sale.
Oh, it's not?
You just have to ask, and I'll give you one.
Oh, wow. That's the way to do it.
Wait, we got to get the address for all our viewers. They want a copy.
Okay, so hang with us. We are going to take a quick